Hello, Reddit. I never imagined I'd find myself posting here, but I really need some guidance. Before I get into the chaos that my life has recently become, let me explain how things used to be. My wife, Laura, and I have shared a marriage that has lasted for 10 years. Together, we're raising two children, Emma, who is 8, and Josh, who is 6. From the outside, it probably looked like we had a great life. Like any couple, we had our share of disagreements, but nothing ever felt unmanageable. At least, that's what I believed. The first hints that something might be wrong started appearing around half a year ago. Laura began staying at work later than usual and frequently spent her weekends going out with friends. I brushed it off at first. After all, personal space is healthy in any relationship. But things began to shift in a way that didn't sit right with me. She became strangely guarded with her phone, something she had never done before. She'd chuckle while reading messages, only to tilt the screen away when I happened to pass by. I kept telling myself I was overthinking it. Trust is supposed to be the cornerstone of a marriage, right? Still, no matter how much I tried to ignore it, the sense that something was wrong refused to fade. Then came the night she got home extremely late, clearly having had a few drinks and wearing a perfume that wasn't hers. Her mood was unusually upbeat, almost like she was high on adrenaline, like a teenager sneaking back home past curfew. When I asked her about her night, she rattled off a story about drinks with coworkers. It sounded too perfect, too well-rehearsed, and it didn't sit right with me. Things took a more serious turn about a week later. I cut a business trip short, hoping to surprise her, only to return to a completely empty house. Neither Laura nor the kids were home. I called her, and she answered, clearly caught off guard and slightly irritated. She claimed she was out at the park with the kids, though she had never mentioned those plans before I left. When they finally got back, her reaction to seeing me was anything but joyful. She looked startled, almost like she was trying to hide something. The kids, on the other hand, were excited to tell me about their day. Laura, though, was pale and unsettled, as if she'd seen a ghost. That was the moment I knew I couldn't ignore this anymore. I began to notice more and more inconsistencies in her stories. Too many things didn't align, and the coincidences were piling up. My instincts told me to look further, so I did. One night, after she had fallen asleep, I checked her phone. There, I found conversations with someone named Mike. The messages were unmistakably flirtatious and intimate. There was no room for doubt. Laura was involved with someone else. The realization hit me hard. I was overwhelmed at first, confused, angry, and heartbroken all at once. As tempting as it was to confront her immediately, I knew I needed to be smart about this. I had to gather more proof before making any move. I needed to be sure, and I needed a plan. It was around this time that I unexpectedly reconnected with Emily, an old friend from when we were kids. She had just moved back into town, and we bumped into each other at a local coffee shop. It felt like no time had passed at all. I eventually opened up to her about everything that was going on with Laura. Emily didn't judge. She simply listened. Her calm presence gave me the comfort I hadn't realized I was craving. As the days passed, Emily and I spent more time together. She became my emotional anchor and gave me thoughtful advice on how to handle the unraveling situation with my wife. My feelings for her slowly started to change, but I tried to set those emotions aside. Right now, my attention needed to be on discovering the truth and deciding what steps to take with my marriage. One particular evening, Laura came home later than usual once again, and I knew I had to take action. I discreetly installed hidden cameras in the house and began recording our conversations. I needed undeniable proof, something that would remove any possibility of denial when the time came. At the same time, I tried to brace myself emotionally for what I might uncover. I shared my plans with Emily, and she stood by me, encouraging me with her quiet support. Having her by my side made the unbearable more manageable. The pieces were all in place. I was finally ready to face the truth. What I didn't expect, though, was that this upcoming confrontation would only be the beginning of a much longer and more painful road ahead. Weeks passed, and the weight of suspicion continued to grow heavier. Laura's behavior grew more unpredictable. One moment, she was overly affectionate, the next completely withdrawn. It felt like she was swinging between extremes with no stability in sight. Every time she left the house, I was consumed with anxious thoughts about who she might be meeting and what she might be doing. Through it all, Emily remained a source of strength for me. She helped me review the footage and go through the messages I'd collected, often catching things I might have overlooked. Our connection deepened, and I found myself eagerly anticipating our conversations. Emily was a stark contrast to the version of Laura I was dealing with. She was genuine, caring, and consistently present. Then, one Friday evening, Laura told me once again that she was heading out with some friends. This time, I made the choice to follow her. I waited until she left and then trailed behind her car at a distance, trying to stay unnoticed. My heart was racing as I navigated through traffic, keeping my eyes on her vehicle the entire time. Eventually, she pulled into the parking lot of an upscale restaurant. I parked a few spaces away and watched as she stepped out of the car, dressed to impress. Moments later, a man I immediately recognized from her phone pictures, Mike, arrived. They embraced warmly, and my stomach twisted. That was the moment I knew for certain. I had the proof I needed, and there was no more room for doubt. I snapped a few pictures with my phone, capturing undeniable proof of their meeting. As I drove back home, my thoughts spiraled with fury and a deep sense of betrayal. Reading their messages had been painful enough, but witnessing them together brought a harsh reality that cut even deeper. Later that evening, when Laura walked through the door, I was already seated in the living room, waiting. She entered with a smile, but her expression quickly shifted when she noticed my serious demeanor. "Jack, is everything okay?" she asked, attempting to sound nonchalant. "We need to talk," I replied calmly, though inside I was barely holding it together. She hesitated, then sat across from me, visibly uneasy. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice wary. I exhaled slowly and pulled out my phone, displaying the images. "I followed you tonight, Laura. I saw you and Mike together." Her face went pale, and her eyes widened with shock. "Jack, please let me explain." "Don't," I cut in, my voice growing firm. "Don't treat me like a fool. I've known for weeks. I've seen the messages, I've heard the recordings, and now I have these photos. How could you do this to me, to our family?" Laura's face contorted from surprise to outrage. "You were spying on me? How could you violate my privacy like that?" "Privacy?" I echoed in disbelief. "You've been dishonest and unfaithful for months, and now you're accusing me of violating your privacy? What about our relationship, our children?" She stood up, her fists clenched in anger. "Maybe if you had been a better husband, I wouldn't have needed to look for comfort somewhere else. You were always too busy, always buried in work." Her words pierced deep, but I refused to let her twist the narrative. "That's not fair, Laura. Yes, we had our struggles, but you could have come to me. Instead, you chose to deceive me. We argued for what seemed like hours, each word more hurtful than the last." Her unwillingness to admit fault only intensified my frustration. Eventually, I reached my limit. "I think we need to separate," I said quietly, the weight of the words sinking in. Laura looked at me, her eyes void of warmth. "Fine. Maybe that's the right decision." She turned and stormed upstairs, leaving me engulfed in silence and sorrow. The house felt emptier than ever, and I realized just how broken things had become. I messaged Emily to let her know what had happened. She offered to come by, but I told her I needed space to sort through it all. The following days passed in a haze. Laura and I barely spoke, communicating only when necessary for the children. I felt both relief and sadness, knowing our marriage might truly be over. Emily remained a steady source of comfort. I leaned on her more than I expected. One evening, after putting Emma and Josh to bed, I met her at a quiet park nearby. We sat side by side on a bench, the cool air offering a strange kind of peace. "I don't know what to do anymore, Em," I confessed, my voice breaking with emotion. "It feels like everything is falling apart." She reached out, gently taking my hand in hers. "You're not alone, Jack. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere." As we sat together in that peaceful moment, I began to realize just how important Emily had become to me. She was no longer just a close friend. She had become my safe space, someone who brought clarity and strength during a chaotic time. Though the road ahead was uncertain, for the first time in a long while, I felt a spark of hope. A new chapter was about to begin, and I was ready to face it. After that evening at the park, things between Laura and me became even more strained. We did our best to remain civil for Emma and Josh, but the tension between us was impossible to ignore. It felt like we were constantly tiptoeing through a minefield, with emotions ready to detonate at any second. Then, one day, Laura dropped some unexpected news. She wanted to move out. She said she needed time to think things through. I felt torn. On one hand, it was a relief. On the other, I worried deeply about what it meant for our children. We came to an agreement on a trial separation, and soon after, Laura moved in with a friend. With her gone, the house felt noticeably lighter. The constant tension vanished, and I found myself able to breathe again. My focus shifted completely to the kids. I made sure Emma and Josh felt loved and secure, despite the confusion around them. Emily became an integral part of our lives. She helped out with the children, brought meals by, and was always available to talk. One evening, after the kids had gone to sleep, I asked her to stay a little longer. We sat together in the living room, talking casually, our conversation flowing with ease. "How are you really doing?" Emily asked softly, her gaze full of empathy. "I'm hanging in there," I admitted with a sigh. "It's tough, but I believe separating was the right decision. Laura and I, we just can't keep going like this." She nodded and placed her hand gently over mine. "You're doing what's right for you and for the kids, Jack. That's what truly matters." A moment passed in silence, comfortable and still, before she spoke again. "There's something I've been meaning to tell you," she said, her voice slightly hesitant. I looked over at her, intrigued. "What is it?" She took a breath, a blush spreading across her cheeks. "I've been thinking a lot lately, and I believe I have feelings for you. Not just as a friend, something more." Her confession caught me off guard, although deep down, I realized I had been harboring similar emotions. Through everything, Emily had remained my steadfast support, and I could no longer deny the deepening bond between us. "I feel the same, Emily," I confessed, though uncertainty lingered. "But I'm not sure if we're rushing things. Everything with Laura still feels so raw." Emily gave a small nod, her eyes soft. "I understand, Jack. I'm not trying to push anything. I just needed to be honest about how I feel." We agreed it was best to proceed slowly. With everything already so complicated, the last thing we needed was to add more confusion. Emily continued to be there for me, always dependable, and our connection only grew stronger with time. Meanwhile, Laura's absence forced me to confront the truth about our marriage. The cracks had been there long before the betrayal. While her actions had caused deep pain, it became clear that our relationship had long been struggling under the surface. To work through my emotions and gain clarity, I started attending therapy. The sessions helped me unpack the past, understand my own role in the breakdown of our marriage, and begin the process of healing. Around a month after our separation, Laura reached out and asked to meet. We sat together in a quiet cafe, the silence between us heavy with unresolved tension. Her voice, softer than I had heard in weeks, broke the quiet. "How are the kids?" she asked. "They're managing," I responded gently. "But they miss you." Laura lowered her eyes to her coffee cup. "I miss them too. And I miss you, Jack." I didn't know what to say. Her words were unexpected. "What are you trying to say, Laura?" I asked cautiously. She exhaled slowly, tears forming. "I've spent a lot of time thinking. I know I made serious mistakes, but I want to fix this. I want to be better for the kids and for us." Her vulnerability stirred something within me. A part of me wanted to believe her and consider giving our relationship another shot. But another part, the part that still remembered the pain and the lies, remained guarded. "We have a lot to work through," I said carefully. "Trust isn't something that just comes back overnight." "I know," she replied, her voice shaky. "But I'm willing to do everything it takes. Therapy, counseling, anything." I agreed, though with conditions. We would attend couples counseling and move forward cautiously. Laura moved back in, and together, we began the long, often painful journey of trying to rebuild what had been lost. The sessions with Dr. Harris, our therapist, proved challenging. He helped us uncover and confront the deep-rooted problems that had long gone unaddressed. Laura appeared genuinely remorseful and showed a real desire to change. Still, the path to healing wasn't easy. All the while, Emily continued to be a calming presence in my life. She fully supported my decision to try and mend things with Laura, even though it meant putting any possibility of a future together on hold. Her patience and quiet strength only made me appreciate her more. As the weeks slipped into months, Laura and I made some progress. But it was slow and often uncertain. Rebuilding trust wasn't a smooth process. Old wounds lingered, and doubts crept in more than once. Still, for the sake of our children, I kept trying. One evening, after an emotionally exhausting therapy session, I sat alone in the living room, my gaze drifting over the family photos that adorned the wall. A deep sadness settled over me as I mourned the love we once shared, unsure if it was possible to ever recapture it. Needing comfort, I picked up the phone and called Emily. "Hey Em, would you mind coming over? I really need a friend right now." Without hesitation, she arrived within minutes. Just seeing her brought a sense of calm I hadn't felt in days. We sat outside on the porch, the crisp night air quietly surrounding us. "I'm so tired, Emily," I confessed. "I honestly don't know how much longer I can do this." She reached out and held my hand, her touch steady and warm. "Jack, you've been carrying so much. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. You don't need to figure everything out tonight. Just take it one day at a time." Sitting there beside her, I realized how deeply grateful I was to have Emily in my life. She had become my anchor in the middle of a storm I never expected. No matter what the future held, I knew I could face it because I wasn't alone. As more time passed, we continued our counseling with Dr. Harris. Laura and I made further strides, but the fractures in our relationship remained. Trust was still the biggest obstacle, and even though Laura worked hard to rebuild it, the memories of her betrayal lingered heavily in my mind. Each day felt like an uphill battle to fix something that might already be too broken. Laura's attitude shifted often. At times she was filled with genuine regret and determination to change, but other times, her old defensiveness returned, making our progress feel fragile. One night, during a particularly intense argument, she snapped and said, "Maybe you're just too weak to forgive me, Jack." Her words cut straight to the heart, but I managed to keep calm. "It's not about weakness, Laura. It's about trust. You shattered it, and rebuilding that takes time." Our arguments became more frequent, and it was clear our efforts to reconcile were weighing heavily on both of us. Yet through it all, Emily stayed by my side, never judging, always patient, and ready to listen. One evening, after yet another emotionally exhausting therapy session, I ended up standing outside Emily's home. I desperately needed some distance from the turmoil back at the house. She greeted me warmly, offering a gentle hug that instantly made me feel grounded. We settled on her couch, and our conversation flowed well into the night. "Jack, why do you keep holding on?" she asked softly, her concern evident. "I can see this is really taking a toll on you." I let out a weary sigh, brushing my fingers through my hair in frustration. "Mostly because of the kids," I admitted. "I just don't want them growing up in a household that's fallen apart." Emily listened carefully and gave a slow nod. "But staying in an unhealthy situation isn't good for them either. They deserve to see their parents happy, even if it's not together." Her words stayed with me long after that night. Deep down, I knew she was right. Emma and Josh deserved to grow up in a home filled with love and stability, and I was no longer sure Laura and I could provide that environment together. The following weeks were a whirlwind of emotional highs and lows. There were some good days between Laura and me, moments that almost felt normal again. But those were few, heavily outweighed by the arguments and silence. It became increasingly obvious that our efforts to hold on might be pointless. During one especially heated argument, Laura blurted out, "Maybe we should just end it, Jack. Maybe that's what we really need." Though she said it out of frustration, her words cut deep and made me pause. Maybe, just maybe, she was right. Perhaps it was time to confront the truth we had both been trying to avoid. Soon after, I sat down with Emily once again, this time with a heavier heart. "I think I need to let it go, Em," I confessed. "I can't keep living like this." She gently took my hand, her eyes full of empathy. "Whatever you choose, Jack, I'll be here to support you." Though the choice weighed heavily on me, I knew what needed to be done. One quiet evening, after the kids had gone to bed, I joined Laura in the living room. She seemed to sense what was coming. My voice was calm but filled with sadness as I said, "We need to talk." She gave a small nod, her expression subdued. "I know. I've been thinking the same." We talked for hours, reflecting on our relationship and what would be best for Emma and Josh. It wasn't an easy conversation, but we both recognized that separating was the right path. We agreed to part on respectful terms and prioritize co-parenting with love and consistency. The weeks that followed were a blur, signing documents, meeting with attorneys, and sitting down with the children to explain everything. Understandably, Emma and Josh were upset, but we did our best to reassure them. We made sure they knew they were loved and that this decision was about creating a healthier life for all of us. Emily remained an unwavering source of strength during this difficult period. Her presence brought calm to the chaos. She helped me manage the emotional challenges and reminded me that choosing peace was not only best for me but also for my kids. Eventually, the day came when Laura packed up her things and left. As we stood in the driveway saying our goodbyes, there was a quiet understanding between us. "I hope you find happiness, Laura," I told her with sincerity. Tears welled up in her eyes as she replied, "You too, Jack. Please take care of the kids." As she drove away, a mixture of sadness and relief settled over me. That chapter had ended, and although it was painful, a new one was ready to begin. Later that evening, Emily came over, and we sat side by side on the porch, watching the sunset in comfortable silence. "How are you feeling?" she asked gently. I drew in a long breath and let it out slowly. For the first time in a while, I feel free and ready for something new. She smiled warmly and gave my hand a reassuring squeeze. "You've made so much progress, Jack. I'm really proud of you." As the sun slipped below the horizon, I looked at Emily, filled with gratitude for her steady presence. The road ahead was uncertain, but with her beside me, I felt confident I could handle whatever lay ahead. The time after Laura's departure brought its share of challenges, but also a strong sense of renewal. I poured my energy into building a steady, loving atmosphere for Emma and Josh, and to my relief, they adjusted better than I expected. Our home, once a source of tension, now felt calm and safe. Emily remained a constant in our lives, offering support not just to me but to the children as well. She helped them with their homework, joined us for evening meals, and simply showed up when we needed her most. Her presence grew even more meaningful with each passing day. One crisp Saturday morning, we all headed to the local park. The sky was clear, and the sun shone brightly, a perfect day for spending time together outdoors. We played frisbee, shared a picnic, and watched Emma and Josh laugh and play, their joy echoing all around us. As we relaxed on a blanket, watching the kids in the distance, Emily turned toward me with a thoughtful look. "Jack, there's something I've been thinking about." "What is it?" I asked, curious. "I've been offered a new job in the city," she said, her tone hesitant. "It's a great opportunity, but it would mean moving away." My heart dropped at the thought. I looked at her, trying to mask my concern. "What do you want to do?" Her eyes locked with mine as she answered. "I love what I do here, and being close to you, and the kids means so much. But this job would be a big step forward in my career. Starting over in a new city, though, would be a huge change." I reached for her hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. "I want what's best for you, Emily. If this job makes you happy, you should go for it. We'll find a way to make it work." She gave me a warm smile, her eyes filled with a blend of thankfulness and relief. "Jack, thank you. That really means a lot." A few weeks went by, and Emily ultimately chose to accept the job offer and relocate to the city. Before she left, we made a heartfelt promise to remain in close contact and visit each other as often as we could manage. Saying goodbye wasn't easy, but deep down, I understood it was the best step forward for her career. Life didn't pause, it kept pressing on. Laura and I found a way to navigate co-parenting without conflict. We concentrated on what mattered most, creating a safe, loving environment for Emma and Josh. On weekends, the kids would stay with Laura. Although she and I still had unresolved differences, we collaborated where it counted, ensuring our children felt supported and secure. One evening, after I dropped the kids off at Laura's place, my phone rang. Emily's name appeared on the screen. "Hey, Jack, how are things going?" she asked gently. "I'm managing," I answered, leaning back against my car. "But I miss having you around." "I miss you too," she admitted in a quiet voice. "Actually, I have something to tell you. I've done a lot of thinking lately about where we stand and what truly matters to me. And I've realized that no job is worth sacrificing what we have. So, I decided to turn down the offer." I was taken aback. "Emily, are you absolutely certain? I just don't want you to regret giving this up." Her voice was steady. "Yes, I'm sure. I came to understand that my real happiness isn't tied to a title or a paycheck. It's about the people I love, and that means you and the kids." Her words overwhelmed me, bringing tears to my eyes. "Emily, I don't even know how to thank you." "You don't need to," she replied softly. "Just promise me we'll keep building this life together." "I promise," I said, my heart full of gratitude and love. Emily returned to our town, and our relationship began to bloom in new and beautiful ways. We took our time, making sure that Emma and Josh adjusted to the changes comfortably. The kids quickly grew fond of her, and it was obvious she felt the same way about them. As months passed, our connection deepened, strengthened by the obstacles we faced and overcame as a team. We weren't just a couple, we became a family, brought together not by blood, but by intentional love and commitment. One evening, we were all gathered around the dinner table when Emma looked up and asked, "Daddy, is Emily going to be our new mommy?" I glanced over at Emily, who offered a reassuring smile. "What would you think about that?" I asked gently. With wide smiles, both Emma and Josh answered, "We'd really love that." I reached for Emily's hand, overwhelmed with a sense of completeness I hadn't felt in years. "Then I think it's something we can make happen." Our life wasn't without imperfections, but it was rich in love, laughter, and the comfort of belonging. Emily had become a vital part of our world, and I couldn't picture our future without her. That night, as we sat together reflecting on all we had been through, I felt an overwhelming sense of appreciation. The road had been tough, but it had led me to a place of healing and new beginnings. And with Emily by my side, I felt certain that the days ahead would only get brighter. As more months slipped by, our new life began to settle into a steady rhythm. Emily officially moved in, and the house, once quiet and empty, now felt whole again. We kept our attention on the kids, making sure Emma and Josh felt safe and truly loved in this newly blended family. Emily's presence added a warmth that had long been missing. We shared responsibilities equally, and she developed a deep connection with the children. Their laughter echoed through our home, a sign of the healing we had all gone through. However, not everything was easy. Laura's relationship with me remained tense. Her emotions seemed to swing between moments of sorrow and bouts of anger. Co-parenting wasn't without its struggles, but for the sake of Emma and Josh, we kept things as respectful as possible. One afternoon, while I was picking up the kids from her place, Laura pulled me aside. "Jack, can we talk for a moment?" she asked with a serious expression. I nodded, already feeling a familiar tightness in my chest. "Of course. What's going on?" She hesitated before continuing, her gaze lowered. "I've been reflecting on everything. I understand that we can't go back and fix what's broken between us, but I want to make an effort. For the kids. And for my own growth." Her sincerity caught me off guard. I saw a glimpse of genuine change in her eyes. "That's all I've ever hoped for, Laura, for both of us to be better for Emma and Josh." She gave a small nod, her eyes glossy with unshed tears. "I've started therapy. It's been helping me look inward and face the choices I've made." "I'm really glad to hear that," I told her, meaning every word. "It's a positive step forward." As Laura and I worked on strengthening our co-parenting foundation, Emily remained my constant source of comfort. Her patience and quiet support never wavered. She didn't push me to move faster, but instead offered a calm presence that kept me grounded. One peaceful night, after the kids had gone to bed, Emily and I sat on the porch, enjoying the stillness. "You seem lighter these days, Jack," she said, resting her head gently on my shoulder. "I am," I replied, giving her hand a gentle squeeze. "And so much of that is because of you." She smiled, her eyes glimmering in the soft porch light. "I'm just happy I could be part of your life and theirs." With Emily, things felt right. Balanced. For the first time in what felt like forever, peace had found its way back into my heart. Her love and unwavering support had truly changed my life, and every day, I found myself thankful to have her by my side. One weekend, Emily came up with an idea. She suggested we all take a trip to the beach. That beach vacation was exactly what we all needed. The children were over the moon with excitement, and I was eager to spend some meaningful time with them. Everything about the trip turned out wonderfully. We crafted sandcastles by the shore, dove into the refreshing waves, and enjoyed casual picnics under the sun. Emma and Josh were filled with joy, their giggles and cheerful energy lifting everyone's spirits. One evening, while we watched the sun dip beneath the horizon, a deep wave of thankfulness swept over me. I couldn't help but reflect on how far we had come as a family. Once we returned to our usual routine at home, the peaceful memories of our getaway continued to warm my heart, offering a sense of comfort and resilience through the daily grind. Meanwhile, I kept navigating the co-parenting dynamic with Laura. To her credit, she genuinely seemed to be putting in the effort to change for the better. One evening, after an especially smooth exchange of the children, she approached me with a surprising tone of sincerity. "Jack, I just wanted to express my gratitude. You've shown a lot of patience and understanding, even though I haven't always made it easy," she said. "I appreciate that, Laura," I replied, nodding. "We're both working toward what's best for the kids, and that's what matters most." As weeks passed, the tension between us began to ease. We weren't friends, not by any stretch, but a sense of mutual respect gradually emerged. It allowed us to function together in peace for the benefit of our children. At the same time, my relationship with Emily deepened with each passing day. Our connection grew stronger, and we started to have heartfelt conversations about what we envisioned for the future, not just for ourselves, but for Emma and Josh as well. One evening, as we sat in the backyard watching the kids play, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful look in her eyes. "Jack, there's something I've been thinking about," she began, her voice calm but deliberate. "What is it?" I asked, intrigued by her seriousness. She took a deep breath. "I love the life we've created. I love you, and I love the kids more than anything. I want to make this permanent. I want to marry you." Hearing those words from her stopped me in my tracks. I had dreamed of this moment, but experiencing it in real life filled my chest with joy. Emily, I can't picture life without you in it. I want that too. I want to marry you, I said, my voice brimming with emotion. We embraced tightly, our hearts full of happiness and love. When we shared the news with the kids, their enthusiastic reactions made the moment even more special. The four of us celebrated with laughter and hugs, already imagining what our little wedding would be like. We began making plans for an intimate ceremony with just close family and friends. The day arrived, and it was as beautiful as we hoped. Emily looked breathtaking, and the affection in her eyes made my heart skip a beat. As we exchanged vows, I felt deeply thankful for every step of the journey that had brought us here. Life had certainly thrown its share of surprises our way, but standing beside Emily, surrounded by those we loved most, I knew we were exactly where we were meant to be. The future looked bright and full of promise, and I felt ready to take it on with Emily as my partner. As we danced late into the evening, I looked around at our gathered friends and family, a profound sense of peace settling over me. We had faced hardship and come through it stronger. Now, we stood ready to begin this new chapter as husband and wife. Holding Emily's hand, I felt like nothing could stop us. Our bond had withstood the test of time and trials, and I was certain that whatever lay ahead, we would handle it together. The days following our wedding felt surreal, like something out of a dream. At last, Emily and I were officially a family. Emma and Josh couldn't have been happier, and our home resonated with laughter, warmth, and love. We quickly settled into our new life, focusing on creating happy moments each day. For our honeymoon, we took a short but unforgettable trip to the mountains. We spent an entire week hiking through scenic trails, discovering hidden spots, and simply enjoying one another's company without distractions. It was the perfect beginning to our shared life, and I had never felt closer to Emily. When we came back, Emma and Josh were waiting for us with wide smiles and open arms. They had stayed with Laura during our trip, and the joy on their faces as they welcomed us back made my heart full. Everything seemed to be falling into place, and I was immensely thankful. Still, not everything was without its challenges. Although Laura had made visible strides in improving her behavior, her actions weren't always consistent. At times, the tension resurfaced, bringing back old stress. One afternoon, during a routine exchange of the children, Laura brought up something unexpected. "Jack, there's something important I need to discuss with you," she said, her expression serious. I gave a nod and quietly asked Emily to take the kids inside while I stayed back. "What's going on?" I asked. She hesitated before continuing. "I've been offered a job in another state. It's a really good opportunity, but I'd have to move. I want to take the kids with me." Her words felt like a blow. "Laura, you can't just uproot their entire world. Their school, their friends, everything they know and love is here." "I understand, but this could be a fresh beginning for all of us," she insisted. "I need you to think about it." Frustration surged inside me. "Laura, this isn't just about what you want. We need to put the kids' well-being first, and I honestly don't believe moving them away from their home is what's best." The conversation quickly grew tense, with neither of us willing to back down. Eventually, we made the difficult decision to bring in a mediator to help us navigate this situation. It was a stressful and emotionally draining time, but through it all, Emily's steady and loving presence kept me grounded. During the mediation sessions, it became evident that Laura's motivation to relocate stemmed from her longing for a clean slate. Although I could empathize with her reasons, I wasn't ready to agree to something that would upend the children's lives so drastically. The mediator proposed a middle ground. Laura could accept the new position, but Emma and Josh would live with me throughout the academic year and spend holidays and summers with their mother. It wasn't a simple arrangement, but it seemed like the most balanced path forward for everyone. Laura, though hesitant, eventually agreed, and the transition slowly began. The change was hard on the kids, especially at first, but with plenty of love and steady reassurance, they began to settle into the new rhythm. Emily and I worked diligently to create a consistent, nurturing environment where they felt safe and supported. Over the following months, we adapted to our redefined roles. Laura settled into her new job, and, despite its initial challenges, our shared parenting plan worked more smoothly than we had anticipated. Emma and Josh showed remarkable resilience, gradually flourishing in this new phase of their lives. One evening, while Emily and I relaxed on the porch and watched the sun dip below the horizon, I found myself reflecting on everything that had led us here. I turned to her and said, "It's been quite the journey, hasn't it?" I gently squeezed her hand. With a soft smile, she replied, "It really has. But look at what we've accomplished together. We're stronger because of everything we've faced." I nodded, a wave of gratitude washing over me. "Thank you for being my anchor, Emily. I honestly don't know how I would have managed without you." She leaned in, placing a gentle kiss on my cheek. "Jack, we'll always have each other, no matter what comes our way." Life kept moving forward, bringing with it moments of laughter, challenges, and deep affection. Emily and I built a home full of stability and joy. Emma and Josh continued to grow, their happiness a reflection of the love that surrounded them. One afternoon, as we all gathered in the living room, Emma looked up with a thoughtful expression on her face. "Daddy," she began, "do you think Mommy will ever find happiness?" Her question caught me off guard. I paused for a moment, then answered, "I hope so, sweetheart. Everyone deserves to be happy." Emma nodded, seeming to reflect on my words. "I'm really glad we have Emily. She makes us happy." I smiled, warmth filling my chest. "She really does, doesn't she? We're very lucky." Time passed, and our family continued to thrive. Emily and I faced every obstacle hand in hand, always leaning on each other for strength. Laura remained a constant presence in the children's lives. Though our relationship had its flaws, we worked through the challenges for the sake of Emma and Josh. Reflecting on our journey, I came to understand that life often has a way of leading us to the right place, even when the path seems unclear. Our experiences were filled with pain and healing, yet they ultimately brought us to a space of genuine love and fulfillment. With Emily beside me, I felt prepared for whatever lay ahead. Our love had endured and overcome, and together we built a life that was both meaningful and filled with hope. Sitting hand in hand, watching the day end, I felt a deep and abiding peace, knowing this chapter was only the beginning. As time moved on, our family continued to blossom. The connection between Emily and me only deepened, growing stronger with each passing day. We shared life's joys and faced its trials as a united team. One afternoon, Emma and Josh returned from school bubbling with excitement. They had been chosen to perform in the upcoming talent show. Their energy was infectious, and Emily and I threw ourselves into helping them prepare, turning our evenings into rehearsals filled with music, encouragement, and laughter. When the night of the performance arrived, we sat proudly in the front row, eager to see our children shine. Emma sang with grace, and Josh played the piano with remarkable confidence. The crowd's enthusiastic applause echoed through the room, and I felt a rush of pride. Later, we celebrated the night with ice cream, soaking in the simple happiness of being together as a family. It was in moments like these that I was reminded of our journey, how far we had come and how much we had to appreciate. Yet life, as always, brought its share of challenges. Laura's visits during school breaks and holidays sometimes reopened old wounds. Though we stayed polite for the children's well-being, her presence occasionally stirred up difficult emotions. One particular summer, during one of her stays, Laura expressed a desire for more time with the kids. "I miss them deeply, Jack. Is there any way we can arrange for me to see them more often?" While I understood her longing, I also knew that maintaining consistency was crucial for Emma and Josh. "We'll make decisions based on what's best for the kids, Laura. Maybe there's a way to adjust the schedule slightly, but their routine is important." She hesitated, then nodded. "I understand. I just wish I could be more involved in their lives." We eventually found a workable compromise that gave Laura more time without disrupting the children's stability. It wasn't simple, but we made it work. As the years passed, Emily and I continued to nurture our relationship. We spent our weekends going on short getaways, cherished peaceful nights at home, and stood by one another through every twist and turn life threw at us. Our connection only deepened with time, and the thought of living without Emily felt impossible. One quiet evening, as we relaxed on the porch, she brought up something that had clearly been on her heart. "Jack, have you ever thought about us having more children?" she asked gently. Her question caught me completely off guard. I had never really given it serious thought before. "Why do you ask?" I responded, curious. There was a spark of excitement in her gaze as she replied, "I love Emma and Josh like they're my own, but I've been imagining what it would be like if we had a child together. What are your thoughts on that?" I paused to absorb her words. The idea of welcoming another child into our lives was both thrilling and a bit overwhelming. After a few moments, I smiled and said, "Emily, I think that sounds wonderful. I'd love that." We agreed to pursue the idea, and not long after, we received joyful news. Emily was expecting. The announcement filled our home with an air of happiness and eager anticipation. Emma and Josh were overjoyed at the thought of a baby sibling, and excitement buzzed through the household. Emily's pregnancy progressed smoothly, and we spent those months preparing with care. The kids eagerly pitched in to help set up the nursery, and we often found ourselves lost in long conversations about baby names and the adventures ahead. When the moment finally came, Emily gave birth to a healthy baby girl. We named her Lily, and from the start, she became a radiant light in our lives. Watching Emma and Josh take on their roles as older siblings with such love and curiosity was truly heartwarming. I often found myself overwhelmed with gratitude for the family we had built together. As time moved forward, our family continued to grow stronger. Challenges came and went, but we faced them as a united front, always leaning on our shared love and commitment. The bond between Emily and me grew deeper with every passing day, becoming something unshakable. Looking back on everything we had weathered, I realized how unpredictable life could be. Despite the moments of pain and hardship, we had created something beautiful, filled with laughter, love, and dreams. With Emily by my side, I felt ready for whatever the future might bring. Although our journey had not been easy, it led us to a life rich in love and joy. Sitting with Emily, hand in hand, as our children played in the yard, I felt an incredible sense of peace. It was clear to me then that, even after all we had experienced, this was only the beginning of our story, and the most wonderful chapters were still to come. As our family kept growing stronger and more connected, I often found myself thinking about how far we had come. Life had presented us with plenty of obstacles, yet we tackled each one head-on, emerging more united and resilient than before. Lily brought a new, vibrant energy into our lives. Emma and Josh naturally stepped into their roles as big siblings, always eager to entertain and help care for her. Emily and I found so much joy watching the deepening bond among the kids. Their laughter filled every corner of our home with light and warmth. Still, some difficulties remained, especially with Laura. Her relocation to another state and the demands of her new job had added physical distance. Yet there were also lingering emotional tensions. During one of her visits, Laura initiated a heartfelt conversation. "Jack, I've been doing a lot of thinking about the kids and how we might handle things better," she began, her tone softer than usual. "I want to be more present in their lives, even though I know I haven't made that easy." I appreciated her honesty. "This hasn't been easy for anyone, Laura, but what matters most is what's best for Emma and Josh. What changes do you think would help?" She hesitated for a moment before offering a suggestion. "I was thinking maybe we could work out a more consistent visitation schedule. Something structured that helps the kids feel stable, while also giving me more time with them." I nodded thoughtfully. "That actually sounds reasonable. Let's figure out a plan that works for everyone. The most important thing is making sure the kids feel secure and know what to expect." Over the following weeks, we worked with a mediator to set up a solid visitation schedule. Laura showed a willingness to cooperate and make compromises, which made co-parenting significantly smoother. Throughout this time, Emily remained a constant source of strength. Her patience and encouragement helped me manage the complexities of our blended family with more ease. One evening, after a particularly productive conversation with Laura, I sat beside Emily to talk. "Emily, I honestly don't know how I would have managed without your support," I said, gently squeezing her hand. "You've made all the difference." She gave me a warm smile and replied, "Jack, we're a team. No matter what comes our way, we'll get through it together. The kids are what matter most, and we'll make sure they always feel loved." Our life continued to be filled with joy and meaningful moments. We made it a priority to spend quality time as a family, creating new traditions and memories along the way. One of our favorite traditions became our monthly family game nights. We gather around the table for board games and storytelling, laughing and bonding with each roll of the dice or shared memory. Those evenings brought us closer and strengthened the foundation of our family. As Lily continued to grow, so did her curiosity and boundless energy. Her arrival into our family brought an extra layer of joy that brightened our lives even more. Seeing how naturally she bonded with Emma and Josh filled my heart with warmth and made me deeply thankful for the life we had created together. One bright Saturday morning, we planned a family outing to the zoo. The children were thrilled with the idea, and Emily and I eagerly anticipated a day full of discovery and laughter. As we wandered through the zoo, admiring the animals and soaking in the sunshine, a wave of contentment washed over me. During lunchtime, we found a quiet picnic spot where Emma and Josh kept Lily entertained. She laughed gleefully, clapping her tiny hands in excitement. Emily and I sat back, simply watching our children with hearts full of pride and joy. "This is exactly what I've always dreamed of," Emily said softly as she rested her head on my shoulder. "I wouldn't change a thing." "I feel the same," I replied, pulling her a little closer. "We've come such a long way, and these are the moments that make it all so worthwhile." As the sun began to set, we returned home with 3 sleepy but happy children. Later that evening, after tucking them into bed, Emily and I sat together on the porch, enjoying the peaceful night air. "Jack, something's been on my mind," Emily said gently, her tone thoughtful. "What's that?" I asked, curious about what she was thinking. "I'd love for us to renew our vows," she said, her eyes filled with emotion. "Not because anything's changed, but because our love has only grown. I want to honor everything we've been through and the life we've built together." Her words moved me deeply. "I think that's a beautiful idea, Emily. Let's make it happen." We started organizing a small vow renewal ceremony, inviting only those closest to us. It was a moment to reaffirm our dedication to one another and to celebrate the depth of our bond. The day of the ceremony was nothing short of magical. Surrounded by the people who meant the most to us, we exchanged heartfelt vows that reflected our journey, one marked by perseverance, transformation, and unwavering love. Emily looked absolutely stunning, and I felt overwhelmed with gratitude for everything that had led us to that moment. As we celebrated, I looked around at the people who had stood by us through every twist and turn. Seeing our children smiling so brightly was a powerful reminder of the love that had always guided us forward. Under a sky full of stars, Emily and I danced together, holding each other close. "Thank you for being my strength, my partner in everything, and my truest friend," I whispered. "And thank you for being my entire world," she replied, her gaze full of affection. Our path had not been without difficulty, but it was filled with moments of incredible joy and deep love. We had built a life together that held so much meaning and happiness. As I held Emily close, I knew that whatever came next, we would meet it hand in hand. Our love had endured, and our family stood as a reflection of that resilience. The best chapters were still ahead, and I was ready to embrace them with Emily beside me. Renewing our vows was a powerful milestone in our story, one that strengthened the love and commitment Emily and I shared, not only with each other, but with our entire family. Life continued its steady rhythm, bringing new adventures, occasional hurdles, and countless moments of joy. Laura's role in Emma and Josh's lives became more consistent and well-structured. The revised visitation plan worked smoothly, offering the kids a steady routine while allowing Laura to be more present in their lives. Our co-parenting relationship gradually improved. While we weren't particularly close, we had developed a respectful and understanding dynamic. One peaceful evening, after putting the kids to bed, Emily and I found ourselves on the porch again, enjoying a rare moment of quiet. The stars sparkled above us, and a soft breeze danced through the trees. Emily leaned gently against me, and I wrapped my arm around her, relishing the calm. "Jack, I've been thinking," she said softly, her voice breaking the stillness. "What we've created together, our home, our family, it's everything I've ever hoped for." I smiled and kissed the top of her head. "I feel the same. I can't picture my life without you and the kids." She turned to face me, her eyes glowing with affection. "Lately, I've also been thinking about what's ahead. I want to keep growing, keep building together, maybe even start something new." I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What kind of new venture are you thinking about?" Her face brightened with excitement. "I've always dreamed of opening a small cafe, a cozy space where people can relax, enjoy good food and coffee, and feel completely at home. What do you think?" The idea immediately struck a chord with me. "I love that, Emily. Let's make it happen." And just like that, we dove into planning the cafe. Every detail was shaped by our shared vision and enthusiasm. The children were thrilled to be part of the journey, offering creative ideas and helping out wherever they could. It quickly turned into a true family endeavor, bringing us even closer as a unit. After months of hard work, preparation, and anticipation, we finally opened the doors to our cozy cafe. It was everything we had dreamed of, and even more. The local community welcomed us with open arms, and it wasn't long before our CFGC became a cherished gathering place in the neighborhood. Emma and Josh thrived there, often pitching in with small chores and enjoying the company of our regular patrons. Little Lily, now a lively toddler, won hearts effortlessly with her joyful spirit and radiant smile. The CFGC became more than just a business to us. It turned into a reflection of our home, a space where our happiness could ripple out to others. One quiet afternoon, while I was working behind the counter, I noticed Laura walking in. Her visits had grown rare, and her expression carried a complex mix of feelings. She approached slowly, offering a tentative smile. "Hi, Jack," she greeted in a soft voice. "I heard about this place and wanted to see it for myself." "Hi, Laura," I responded, studying her face for clues to her thoughts. "I'm glad you stopped by. Let me give you a little tour." As I guided her around, it was clear that she was genuinely touched by what she saw. "This place is truly lovely. It's obvious how much heart and effort you've poured into it." "Thanks," I replied warmly. "It's been a true labor of love for all of us." We sat down at one of the cozy tables, and she took a moment to absorb the atmosphere around us. "I'm happy for you, Jack. You built something meaningful here." "I appreciate that, Laura." "I really do," I said earnestly. "How have things been on your end?" With a quiet sigh, her gaze turned thoughtful. "I've been doing a lot of self-reflection, trying to understand who I really am and what I want from life. It hasn't been easy, but I'm slowly finding my way. I hope things continue to get better for you," I told her sincerely. "For your sake, and for the kids too." She nodded, the faintest smile appearing. "Thank you, Jack. That truly means a lot." As she walked out of the CFGC, a wave of closure washed over me. We had both taken separate paths and found new meaning in our lives. It was a moment tinged with both sadness and peace, a reminder that even in the midst of hardship, life has a way of working itself out. The CFGC continued to flourish, becoming an essential part of both our family life and the wider community. Emily and I dedicated ourselves completely, and it showed in everything we did. Our children grew up in an environment rich with love, care, and a sense of togetherness. Time moved forward, and our family continued to grow and change. Emma and Josh matured into remarkable young individuals, full of hope and potential. Lily, ever curious and energetic, filled our home with laughter and delight. Reflecting on everything, I was struck by how far we had journeyed. We had emerged from deep wounds of betrayal and sorrow to build a life filled with connection, joy, and meaning. Emily had been my anchor throughout, and together we created something beautiful. One evening, bathed in the warm colors of a setting sun, Emily and I sat side by side on the porch, watching our children play happily in the yard. The sky glowed with stunning shades of orange and pink, a quiet reminder of life's beauty. "Jack," Emily said, her voice gentle, breaking our peaceful silence, "do you ever stop and think about how much we've overcome?" "All the time," I answered, squeezing her hand with affection. "We've weathered so much, and look at us now, stronger and happier than we've ever been." She smiled, eyes shimmering with love. "I wouldn't change a single part of this journey. You, the kids, everything we've built together, it's more than I ever dreamed of." "I feel exactly the same," I said, my heart full. "Here's to many more years of love and adventure together." As we sat quietly, surrounded by the warmth of our family, I knew our journey was still unfolding. Life would continue to bring ups and downs, but with Emily beside me, I felt ready for anything. What we had built together was full of love, purpose, and unwavering hope. And as the stars began to sparkle above us, I felt certain that the most wonderful chapters were still ahead.